Did you know that Leo Tolstoy, a Russian author best known for War and Peace, became a pivotal figure in global nonviolent movements? Gandhi, who carried on a correspondence with Tolstoy, once said, "I consider that Tolstoy's views are the most profound and true, and in the present circumstances, the most practical." And Tolstoy's writings also contributed to Martin Luther King Jr.'s understanding of nonviolence as a powerful method for social change. See, Tolstoy's What I Believe played a big role in shaping nonviolent movements. It's a heart-to-heart from the past, whispering ideas that shaped our world. But this book isn't only in the backpacks of the well-known Gandhi and King. It found its way into the hands and hearts of countless unsung heroes and movements around the globe. At its core, What I Believe is Tolstoy having a frank chat about faith, morality, and the essence of human life. It's like sitting down with an old friend who suddenly gets really deep. Tolstoy hits us with a reality check on violence. He's not about it, not one bit, and drawing from his Christian beliefs, he argues for absolute nonviolence, which makes you think twice about swatting a fly. He writes, "The law of love is in accord with the nature of man, but the law of violence is opposed to the nature of man." So it's all about turning the other cheek, which sounds straightforward until you're the one doing the cheek turning. Let's look beyond Gandhi and King to glimpse Tolstoy's wide reach. Picture this: the 1980s in South Korea, a period marked by tension, hope, and a yearning for peace. And into the scene enters an unlikely protagonist, the spirit of Leo Tolstoy, a Russian writer whose ideas on nonviolence start to weave their way into the fabric of Korean society. Now, you might be wondering, how does Tolstoy fit into the Korean narrative? Enter the sunshine policy, which sounds like it's been lifted from the pages of Tolstoy's What I Believe. This policy was about extending a hand of friendship to the North, about dialogue and mutual understanding. And inspired by Tolstoyan principles, activists and leaders in South Korea championed this approach. They saw beyond the barbed wire and the propaganda, believing, as Tolstoy did, that the essence of true victory lies in the harmony of hearts, not in the conquest of lands. They pushed for engagements that ranged from economic cooperation to cultural exchanges, planting seeds of peace in a soil long thought barren. And consider how Tolstoy in What I Believe emphasizes love and the refusal to retaliate against evil with evil. South Korean leaders applied these teachings, advocating for a policy of peaceful engagement. They sought to dismantle decades of mistrust, not with threats, but with acts of goodwill, much like offering the other cheek, a Tolstoyan echo in modern diplomacy. This had a huge impact, leading to an unprecedented era of cooperation. Family reunions, joint ventures, and symbolic gestures of unity showed the world that even the deepest divides could be bridged with empathy and understanding. It was as if Tolstoy's whispers had transcended time and space, finding fertile ground on the Korean peninsula. Next, we zip over to Scandinavia, a region known for its breathtaking landscapes and innovative social policies. Here, nestled within these societies known for their forward-thinking approaches to education and welfare, we find the legacy of Leo Tolstoy flourishing in an unexpected yet fitting arena: the folk high schools. Unlike typical educational institutions where the focus is on grades and degrees, the folk high schools take learning beyond the traditional classroom, where education is about nurturing the soul as much as it is about enlightening the mind. Remember when Tolstoy says in What I Believe, "Faith is the force of life. If a man lives, he believes in something." And this concept, deeply inspired by Tolstoy's ideals, has been the cornerstone of folk high schools across Scandinavia. Tolstoy was a fierce advocate for education that emphasized personal development, moral integrity, and community responsibility over rote learning and academic achievement. He believed that true education should touch every aspect of a person's being, enabling them to live fulfilling lives while contributing positively to society. And drawing from this philosophy, the folk high schools focus on holistic learning experiences. Courses range from the arts and humanities to environmental studies and social sciences, but the real curriculum is life. Here, students learn about empathy, cooperation, and the importance of contributing to a peaceful society. They engage in discussions, workshops, and community service projects that challenge them to think critically about their roles in the world. And the influence of Tolstoy's ideas is palpable in these schools' emphasis on personal growth and social responsibility. By encouraging students to explore their passions, question social norms, and cultivate a sense of global citizenship, These institutions are breeding grounds for future change makers. They embody Tolstoy's vision of education as a catalyst for moral and spiritual upliftment, fostering a culture of peace and understanding that extends far beyond their campuses. And the ripple effect of this approach is significant. Graduates of folk high schools often emerge as community activists, policymakers, and leaders in various fields, equipped with a profound sense of duty to their fellow humans and the planet. They carry with them the essence of Tolstoy's teachings, demonstrating how education can be a powerful tool for social change. And we can't forget about Brazil's landless workers movement. Let's venture into the heart of Brazil, where the lush landscapes hide stories of struggle, resilience, and the pursuit of justice. And among these stories is that of the landless workers movement, which in Portuguese comes to an acronym of MST. This movement in many ways mirrors the ethos of Tolstoy's teachings on nonviolence, communal living, and the pursuit of social justice through peaceful means. The MST, one of the largest social movements in Latin America, began a mission to address the stark inequalities in land distribution in Brazil. And this echoes Tolstoy's words in What I Believe. The rich man who keeps for his own use what is sufficient for several and thereby deprives the needy of their rights is worse than a thief. And the MST movement went beyond trying to claim a piece of land. It was a fight for dignity, community, and the right to build a sustainable future. And how did they choose to fight? With the tools of education and peaceful protest, drawing inspiration from Tolstoy's own experiments with agricultural communes and his advocacy for nonviolent resistance. The movement set up encampments and occupied underused land, emphasizing the importance of working the land together, not just as a means to survive, but as a way to build a community based on equality and mutual support. And this approach reflects Tolstoy's vision of a society where people live in harmony with the land and each other, free from the chains of materialism and injustice. Moreover, education plays a pivotal role in the MST's philosophy, echoing Tolstoy's insistence on the importance of educating the masses. The movement has established dozens of schools within its settlements, focusing on literacy, agricultural techniques, and the principles of social justice. These schools are more than just educational institutions, they are beacons of hope, empowering individuals and communities to envision and work toward a more equitable society. And this commitment to education as a tool for liberation is a direct nod to Tolstoy's belief in the power of knowledge to inspire change. The MST's method of peaceful protest, from marches to symbolic occupations of land, also draws on Tolstoyan principles. They confront the violence of inequality and oppression not with arms, but with the strength of their convictions, the legitimacy of their cause, and the solidarity of their community. And this nonviolent stance challenges the prevailing narratives of change through confrontation, showcasing the enduring relevance of Tolstoy's ideals in contemporary struggles for justice. In the story of Brazil's landless workers' movements, we see Tolstoy's legacy alive and thriving. The MST has taken a page out of Tolstoy's book, quite literally, using nonviolent resistance to not only advocate for land reform and social justice, but to live it. They've shown that the principles espoused by Tolstoy over a century ago, communal living, nonviolence, and education as a means to empowerment, aren't just utopian ideals, but practical solutions to some of today's most pressing issues. But here's a twist. Tolstoy didn't just inspire human rights movements. His eco-anarchist views sparked environmental activism, influencing the early green movements in Europe. His belief in living simply and harmoniously with nature is echoed in today's urgent calls for sustainability and conservation. Who knew that the man behind Anna Karenina could also be a patron saint of environmentalism? So, Tolstoy's legacy in nonviolent movement stretches farther and wider than we ever thought, touching every corner of the globe unexpectedly. So, remember, sometimes the most profound revolutions begin quietly in the pages of a book. If you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Like, share, and subscribe, and you might enjoy this other video on Tolstoy next.